to the wind down. All right. Was that a good intro? We have not had a drink yet, I swear. Oh my goodness, but we're about to. Anyway, I hope everyone has been having a lovely week. Sorry, I'm not very good at measuring pours, as everyone has learned with me on the show.
I mean, that's generous and wonderful.
Okay, good. Okay. Anyway,
it's December, so I feel like you need a little bit more to keep you warm and cozy.
That's right. It's the holiday season.
It's the holiday season.
Can you believe that? Oh, wow.
Man. Snuck up on us.
Sure did.
Well,
cheers.
Cheers.
All right, let's try this.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's nice.
Mm-hmm. This is one of my favorite just regular drinking wines.
Yeah, that's good.
Menage a Trois. It's a red blend, so it's super easy. Goes with everything.
That's the name?
Menage a Trois, yeah.
Oh, it is. It is, in fact, the name. Sorry. I didn't look at that before we started filming the episode. Okay.
We have a friend who is a sommelier, and this is one of his wines that he picks up from the grocery store. Well, not here because you can't buy liquor at grocery stores, but
oh, right. So boring.
Weird laws. But in California, you can, and that's what he likes to pick up. He's like, "That's great."
Cali.
Yeah,
this is good. I wish everyone was here and could try it with us.
But hopefully, you have your own bottle or glass.
That's right. Okay, so enough of that. Let's get. We're going to talk about some topics inspired by some of the shows that aired this week, and I think we're going to start with your money, your wealth, compounding interest. Da, da, da. I learned a lot on that episode, and actually it was funny because I watch all of these episodes before they air because I obviously have to talk about them on Coffee with Kristen. So it's almost like a pre-screening. It's very fancy. So it really is actually me with my coffee and my computer open watching all of the episodes. And I was watching this episode and my husband was sitting next to me, and he typically doesn't watch alongside. Sometimes he kind of will take a look, but this one, it was so funny. The second he heard about money growing, the sooner you start investing and like the actual numbers that can come with doing that.
Right.
Wow, he perked up. He said, "Oh, we need to call John, her husband, our financial advisor, and we need to have a conversation because I don't think we're investing enough."
It is a very interesting, and it's a mathematical concept that I don't know if you remember learning about it in middle school, high school. I can't remember when they introduced the concept, but you're just like, what? Is this real life? Mm-hmm. And then the fact that it does compound and it just grows your money.
I don't feel like I learned about that in school. I really don't. Or I missed that day or something. Did I skip class on that day? What happened? Was I not there?
I mean, I think that they talk about it more. It was interesting. I love the way that Joe and Al talk about how compounding your money and can be very beneficial, especially if you start early. Mm-hmm. There's also negative compounding, which goes to credit card debt and all the other things that you can get yourself into.
Right.
And I think that's the way that they teach it in schools is more the fact that your debt can grow versus like, hey, your money can grow longer if you have it in for longer, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, I do remember the negative compounding is
scary.
Is familiar.
Yes.
Everyone gets their first credit card and makes a couple. Well, how did that number come to be? That's negative compounding, kids. Okay.
Student loans as well.
Yes.
Also, can play into that as well.
Because the interest keeps building as you keep, taking money from that credit card, right? So it's literally negative compounding.
Right, exactly.
But just this whole idea that is actually so simple, and unless it's spelled out for you, you might not be thinking about it, but the idea that you can invest $1,000 and whatever interest is gained that year, now you're making interest off of that interest, and it just keeps going and going and going and going and going. Like the concept is very simple.
Right. But to your point, it is about starting early.
Yeah.
And that's also the hard thing is that typically early on in your career or early on in your working life, you might not have an extra amount of money to put away to, start this process early. But it really does benefit you to put away as much as you can when you are starting out so that
a lot of people in their 20s don't even think about doing these things. enjoying life
Yeah.
a little more than they're thinking about investing in their future, right?
In my first job, I had somebody higher up in the company who came to talk to us, and he was just doing a site visit, and somehow we got started talking. He was like, you aren't investing in your 401k? And I was like, I didn't know I knew it was a thing. I just didn't know that I needed to. And he was like, no, start doing it now, start doing this, start doing that. And, I'm very thankful for that because especially for me at the time, it gets taken out of my paycheck. Still does.
Right.
I don't even think about it.
Right.
It's like not money that I have earned. It's just money that's
the way to
someplace else.
Yep.
So when I left that company and moved on to a different job, I was pleasantly surprised by how much money I had put away without even thinking of it.
Right.
It was very nice. So I was like, ooh, thank you, sir.
I know.
For that little tidbit of advice.
Yes, that is almost exactly what happened to me. I was in my 20s and I was working in theater, and if you're part of the union, if you're an equity member in theater and you're part of the union, they automatically set up a 401k for you. And I didn't know what that was, but it was set up for me when I was in my early 20s at some point in my life. And I remember an older actor coming to me and saying, because we can control the percentage that we put into it. And they choose one that kind of automatically goes in or whatever.
Okay.
And I remember him coming up and he said, put as much in as you can. Do it now. Do it now. I don't know if I actually made the change. So my story doesn't have the happy ending it should, but there was still money going into it, and I've seen the benefits of that happening, because I started young.
Right.
But I can't say that I was intentional with it, what was going on. It just kind of was happening without me having to even do anything.
Yeah.
So if that's not set up for people, doing it for yourself or figuring it out is like really important.
Really important. The other piece of advice that I got was to make sure that if your company did 401k matching, which mine did at the time, to make sure you're at least putting that much in, because you're leaving money on the table by not doing that. It doesn't cost you anything to have your company also put in that amount of money as well every month. So that was also super beneficial and I think super helpful.
Oh my gosh, having it matched.
Yeah.
That's a great incentive. Then you're like, oh, just put my whole paycheck in.
Well, they don't match your whole paycheck. It's only a percentage that they go up to, but of course. Helpful nonetheless.
Yes, right.
I think it is also an interesting conversation to have right now too, because inflation rates are going up so fast right now that your money that you don't have set aside isn't going to be worth as much in 6 months, a year, 2 years. So you need to be sure that where you're putting your money aside is in a place that's keeping pace with or beating what the inflation is.
Right.
I saw an interesting thing on the internet where it was showing what $100 was worth in the 50s versus now.
Yikes.
And it was $100 is now worth about, I think it said $8 compared to 1950s prices.
No kidding.
Which, kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
And it was just very telling and was like, oh, wow, you actually do need to save more. You do need to put more aside. And you do need to make sure that your money that you're setting aside is beating the inflation rate so that you're not just putting money aside and it's actually losing value.
Well, and more people now are forced to invest their money because that's really the only option that we have to grow money at this point, because a while ago it used to be where you could put it into a savings account and they had higher interest rates.
Right.
And now that is no more. So people are all being forced to invest, which is good for the market, right?
It's great for the market. It's one of the reasons why the market has stayed so high even throughout the pandemic.
Right.
Also, people have been wanting to, do their own stocks and do some fun things. But yes, it's one of the reasons why the stock market seems to be buoyed right now.
Which I learn all about on ETF Stories. Every week there are a million interesting companies, up and coming companies, that I'm not a huge investor whatsoever, nor do I know that much about it. But it is pretty fascinating. And some of them I'm like, well, I want to get on board with this. I feel inspired. That was not a plug. I actually meant it. So the next topic we will be covering today is from this week's episode of Estate Planning 101. Do you DIY your estate planning, right?
Interesting question.
You know everyone's doing it because that's what everyone does now. You go on Google and you look it up and you find a nice little cheap option and you're like, ooh, I'm just going to do this myself. I don't need to pay an attorney.
$70. You can do it yourself or whatever.
Yep. But what's really going to happen in the long run if you do that?
Yeah. I mean, I think the interesting thing that they talk about on the episode is that it might be fine for some individuals if if you don't have a lot of nuances. The hard thing is that life is all about nuances. Money, what ends up being your estate. You don't have to necessarily be rich to have an estate that has nuances to it.
Right.
And to want to do different things with your money. You know, maybe you don't want to leave it all to one person or two people. You want to give a little bit to charity. You want to give some to your kids if you have it. Maybe you want to leave some to your dog. I don't know.
Right.
But you might not have those choices if you do a DIY situation. Plus, your taste may change over the years and then you have to restart all over again and do the process all over again and pay the money all over again. Right. So in the long term, is paying that small amount of money worth it versus actually having somebody who is in charge, like who does this for a living, do it.
They touch on it on the episode.
Right.
These experts literally go to each other in their own firm and say, hey, can you help me with my estate planning? So if they're not doing their own, if they're not DIYing it, I'm probably not going to DIY mine, you know?
Well, and I think I feel like it's kind of like doctors, right? You're not going to diagnose, perform surgery on yourself. You're going to ask somebody you trust to do it.
My leg is broken. I've got this.
Whereas us at home, we're like, ooh, let's go on WebMD. My symptoms all say I have cancer.
Yes, I've done this.
You know, and it turns out you just have a cold.
Too many times. Yeah, I know. Yeah.
So I think that there is something to reaching out to a professional and making sure that you're getting what you need.
Right. And like you said, I mean, nuance comes with time, you know, and having an estate. I think people think of an estate or getting a trust, that they associate that with having a lot of wealth, right?
Right.
But I've learned on all of these episodes, actually, on Your Money, Your Wealth, on this show, on Estate Planning 101, that, you know, anyone can get a trust. And an estate is just what you have, right? It's your assets.
Yeah.
And everybody, you know, your assets become more complicated as life goes on. And sometimes you don't even realize it. You might think of your life and say, oh, I'm not really invested in that much, or I don't really have that much, but you might have more than you realize. More things to move around and navigate than you realize, which is why having professional help might be beneficial, right?
Yeah. Well, and I think that they give the example about a blended family where you might not have updated your situation if your trust or your DIY, if you do get remarried and now you have stepkids or you have, you know, another co-parent.
That in itself complicates everything.
You know, or maybe you decide not to get remarried, but you do have somebody who is a significant other, and you do want to leave them money, and that's not in it. You know, that hasn't been written in. So I think that there's a lot of nuances that having somebody who's a professional to help you navigate through and figure out where you need to make the changes is super helpful. I'm all about DIYing, you know, like, but some things are best left. Electrical, plumbing, legal. Those are like the things where I'm just like...
Paint your bedroom. You can do that.
Paint your bedroom.
You can paint your bedroom.
Rewire your house? I don't know.
Plumbing? Nah.
No. Maybe replace a faucet or two.
Maybe. Not if you're me, but maybe.
I can replace like the light switches, and that's about it.
Yes, okay, like the little panels around the...
Exactly, because that's just cosmetic. You're not touching any electrical there.
Exactly, yep. Hire the electrician and the plumber. Just do it.
Right. Make sure it's done right.
Exactly. Well, this is sad, but this is actually our last episode for this year, for 2021. So, what?
How did the year go by so quickly?
How did the year go by so quickly? No more wine?
Just not on camera.
Just not on camera, exactly. So
We can
more fun like
FaceTime.
this. Exactly, that's how we'll do it. So do you have any big holiday plans for Christmas?
Yeah. Not New Year's, but Christmas, my family is coming from California. So we'll be
that's
hosting at our
exciting.
house, which will be very exciting.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
It'll be fun. So the grandparents and my brother will be here, so it'll be nice to have the family around.
Oh, that is nice.
And Philadelphia is such a fun place to be during the holidays. There's so many fun things to do. So really looking forward to that.
Oh, that's great. Do you all celebrate New Year's? Is that a big thing in your house, or?
I mean, we like to enjoy New Year's Eve, but it's not a huge, I mean, when I was in my 20s, yes, it was great. It was a lot of fun. Now I'm like, oh, I'll stay up till midnight. I don't know. So it depends. Maybe we'll get a babysitter. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I weirdly just love New Year's. I don't know what it is about just the sensation and the feel of that holiday. It's a holiday. Is it a holiday? New Year's Day is a holiday, yeah.
It is, yes.
And New Year's Eve, like the countdown to me, that's a holiday. New Year's Eve is the holiday. But I love it. And even last year when we weren't allowed to be with anyone.
Right.
And I was pregnant, I really couldn't do anything. And I was in lockdown with my husband. I still said, I was like, we are making this special. And we got what are the sparklers
nice.
and decorated and dressed up. He made mocktails for myself, cocktails for him, and it's just so funny. He is such a stereotypical brooding Brit. So anytime I'm excited about something, he is, the one that's like, oh, do we have to,
But I'm sure he enjoys all the effort you do put in and is happy that you guys have done it.
Sneaky, deep down, he doesn't want to show it, but he really does like it. You know what I mean? I'm like the yin to his yang. Is that right? Yeah, I don't know. But we had so much fun, and he had so much fun too, and we created our own little New Year's Eve party at home.
Nice.
So we don't know what we're doing this year, but I'm sure it'll be something. It has to be something.
Has to be something.
Has to be something fun.
Are you doing anything for Christmas?
I think my mom is going to come out, which will be nice because, again, we didn't spend the holidays with any family last year. So, yeah, I think she's going to come out and we're going to do something, just small and relaxed at home because my husband is in a show. He's in Moulin Rouge on Broadway. I have to brag. And he has a show on Christmas.
Oh, man.
Yeah, they'll get you with that.
Yeah.
So yeah, we like to keep it kind of chill because those holiday schedules get a little crazy with shows. So, but we're excited.
Yay.
Love the holidays. So anyway, I guess we will say goodbye for 2021. Like this has been so fun, and we're gonna see you. I think February. Are we back? Or end of January.
End of January. Yeah.
End of January for our next wind down. So don't forget about us and remember to tune in. We will be back. We are coming back.
Cheers to 2021.
Cheers to 2021. Bye-bye. Hello 2022.